Hey guys, B Twice here. Today is Saturday, August 14th. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. Today we're going to be taking a look at wave theory analysis on CHWY. I'm going to go over really quick where do I think we're going, and then at the end I'm going to kind of go into a little bit deeper of how I did what I did here to draw it, because a lot of times I have a lot of questions on that, and people have requested that I do more like kind of teaching videos of where my nonsense come from. So at the very end I'm going to kind of go over where I got the impulse 345 price targets at we're looking at without seeing the levels. Okay, so CHWY, we peaked for a cycle wave one. We had a complex correction that took us down for our wave two bottom. Um, since then, we had broken this uptrend line, this weekly uptrend line that we had developed maybe like 2 years ago or so. I went back and drew the weekly uptrend line, and just recently we finally broke above it. So as you can see, as we've been in this impulse to the upside, we kept testing it and falling below it, testing and falling below it. Finally, when we hit our wave five peak, which we actually hit it at very, very strong resistance, I went into the volume profile and I drew this resistance line. So our wave five peak, which is a higher degree wave one, actually topped right at that really strong resistance. It sent us down to a wave two bottom beneath the weekly uptrend line that we'd been failing to get above. Since then, now we're in an impulse to the upside. The wave one of this impulse to the upside took us above the strong resistance. Ultimately, we got rejected and head lower. We came down for our wave two bottom, which ultimately went below the weekly uptrend line. Since then, we've had a very strong rally over the last week or so that's really launched us above the strong resistance. And now we're in this wave three. There's not a whole lot of volume profile resistance above this level. So then we have to figure out, okay, where do we think this is going to go? Where is it going to run into some areas where it could potentially sell off? Well, first let's go over where it's going. So what I see is that we're actually in the process of a wave three of three, which is why we're seeing the strength we're seeing. It's going to take us to around 105 a share, somewhere in that ballpark. People were asking me on Twitter, where do I see CHWY going? Well, I think it's going to go to 105. From there, I think we're going to get rejected and head lower. Maybe we catch support at that 100 level. And then from there, I see us going above 110 to 112 a share before we see a major pullback for a higher degree wave four. And then ultimately heading back up to all time highs. So now, with all that being said, so let's talk about these levels for this yellow wave three and this wave four. So I've talked about this in the past. You draw your extension. For your impulse. You take it from the base up to the peak of wave one off the bottom of two. Your 161.8 is always going to be your wave three price target, so our yellow wave three. The 100 mark is the exact same thing as the 38.2, so that would be our wave four price target of right around 100 a share. And then our wave five price target is going to be the 200% because it's the 100% extension off of your wave four price target. So that's kind of where I got this yellow three, 4, and 5. So now let's talk about where I get my blue 3, 4, and 5 and how it kind of shows us and how there's confluence between these two. So I'm going to have to pull this up real quick. Okay, guys, so basically what I'm going to do is, not that, I want an extension. So I'm going to take an extension, right? So we had our wave one, we pulled back for our two. So I need to figure out what's my price target for this blue wave three, 4, and 5. So what I do is I take my extension from here, off the top of one, off the bottom of two. Now I'm going to delete off the other yellow price targets just to get rid of that so we can see better. Um, so now look at this. So what are we seeing? Well, what we're seeing here is that our wave three price target's 105, right? So that's right where I kind of have that drawn. We pull back for a four, and our wave five price target's 111 a share. Well, let's talk about that for a second. So my wave five for this blue wave five, my price target is 111 a share. But what was my price target for my yellow wave three? Right? It was 112 a share. So if I took my extension from this wave, wave one to two, I got 112 a share, and then I take my extension from this wave, and I'm getting 111 a share. Well, obviously we have a match there, right? So clearly, that's really helping us believe stronger that this is an impulse to the upside. We're not in a bear count, and it kind of shows us that hey, it's a higher probability that that's where we're going. Now look at this. What's the 261.8? It ends up being 120, which is right around that wave five price target as well. So when you put all this together and you're really trying to analyze a stock, you can start to gain your confidence on where it's potentially going. Now, it's not perfect. The stock market, anything can happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But what your goal is to use the tools you have and what you've learned about technical analysis and what you've learned about wave theory and any different other thing that you've learned to help you in the stock market, whether it's trend analysis, candlesticks, the strat, whatever it is that you trade. the more you know, the better it is for you. And if you can put all those things together to try to develop a strategy that's a high probability trade, that's what you want to do. So when you start to look at these multiple different things, like obviously we've broken above this trend line, we've broken above this volume profile. So if I was to throw the volume profile in here, we're going to see that we have a volume profile launch pad right here where we jet off of it. So it took us a while to get above it, but once we got above it, we launched off of it. So when you take all these different technical analysis pieces and you put them together, and you start doing different analysis on it, that's what leads you to get very high probability trades. And that's how you become successful in the stock market, because it's not a race, it's a marathon. If you take poor trades and you over risk, you're going to lose eventually. You might get lucky 100 times in a row, and it may only take a couple unlucky times to lose all of your money. So just be mindful of that. But with that being said, I hope you guys learned something from these videos. If there's any specific questions you ever have about wave theory in itself, or resources that you would like to see, or if you'd want me to go over a specific thing about it, go ahead and shoot a comment and I will try to get to it when I can, or send me an email, hit me up on Twitter, whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys like these videos. If you do, please go ahead, hit me with a like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.